Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about the new Christmas rare machine that is coming to North America on Friday. So before I begin, I want to start off by telling a joke. So, what did Santa Claus say to the promiscuously dressed Hera? Ho ho ho! Either way, this event is unfortunately quite top heavy and quite disappointing at the same time because many of these cards are actually tremendously old. And the problem with older cards is that they don't really get buffed. Like, they might get a tiny bit of help every now and then, but for the most part, they tend to languish in obscurity because newer and flashier cards just power creep them out. So this is kind of the trend for a lot of seasonal events because they only cost 5 magic stones, which is nice for rolling, but at the same time, the bottom rarity cards tend to be lackluster, and you end up throwing many stones at it and just getting the same duplicate 5-star you don't actually want to have to begin with. So with that being said, there are many other fun and exciting events coming up. We have the Draconic Orchestra, which should be soon. We have the new Player's Choice Super Godfest, which we can vote for, which I'll cover in a subsequent video, along with the current Fujimi Fantasia Collab and Gung-Ho Collab also coming back in Japan, which means we will get it as well. Either way, there are many other places you can spend your magic stones more efficiently, but regardless of all that, all the characters in this event are festively dressed, and if you are more concerned about like waifu or husbando factors, this could definitely be a fun event for you. So, as I mentioned before, this event has a wide range of different rarities. You have 9 to 5-star base cards, and because of that, they're obviously not made equal, and it just creates this kind of like Christmas tree like shape. This wasn't intentional, it's just the magic of Christmas. And basically, it's really just the top rarity cards being good, but at the same time, many of the even 7 or 6-star cards and some 1 8-star card are just really lackluster. Like, it's very hard to get something actually truly good from this event. So, the first card is the brand new Christmas Saline, and her active skill is a full board change of fire and then charge all other cards by 2 with 2 turns of haste. This is powerful because while there's no downside, a lot of full board changers may come with a drawback, and of course this can be inherited through her weapon assist, which can be important. Her leader skill, and I'm actually surprised by this, has the auto follow-up damage that Rao also enjoys with the exact same activation requirements. You need to match 6 or more connected fire orbs. And this surprised me because we already have something like this, and it's weird that they release something that's almost the same in the same color. If this was green, this would be much more exciting because we don't have a green auto follow-up attack leader, or blue. Well, blue's not Christmas. But the point of the matter is, it's weird. There's so much overlap already existing. And for the most part, as far as this 9-star seasonal card goes, she is powerful, but she is much more niche and situational, and less people can truly take advantage of what she offers because she's really pushing hard the idea of solo farming. And that is definitely applicable for many players, but at the same time, how much value are you really going to gain from these dungeon bonus awakenings? It's only a plus 2% chance. It's like for drops and experience and money. It's very small. Maybe if you're trying to min-max things, you would, but then at the same time, you may want to just be co-op farming because those tend to be usually more efficient as well. But regardless of all that, she is providing an interesting niche, but her leader skill is strong. You have 324 times attack when matching 6 or more fire orbs. You get that auto follow-up attack damage, and you also have 2.25 times health and recovery. Unfortunately, this could have been a lot better, but the problem is you have to be above 50% health for 2 times that attack. So that ends up becoming quite a significant amount of damage multiplier lost. When you only have 2.25 times health, you are going to take hits. Like, there are large hits in this game, and then you'll get into this continuous loop of I'm low health, I heal back up, get hit, now I'm low health again, and you never actually leave that spot, and that is definitely problematic. So I feel like she's definitely more geared towards the idea of you're going to play a certain dungeon that's predictable, you know what's going to happen, you know what's going to spawn, and you can build around it. Not quite what people were hoping for, but again, for players who do enjoy that type of playstyle, especially in solo farming, this can definitely be meaningful. So as I mentioned, like, she does have the same auto follow-up attack damage as Rao, which is great because you can swipe a row, kill everything, which is definitely meaningful. And when you swipe a row, you get damage. You have 5 fire rows. That's just borderline excessive. But at the same time, these dungeon bonus awakenings go to waste. If you're playing in something like Arena, they have no value. And for the most part, I feel that these dungeon bonus help for solo farming event medals. So event medal farming is basically when you're playing through a collab or a seasonal event, and you play that dungeon over and over again to get those bronze, silver, and gold medal drops. You exchange those to rainbow ones eventually, and then you exchange those for a special featured card. At the same time, you could technically exchange rainbow event medals, but again, not every player has large amounts of those lying around. So this farming for these medals is definitely a viable playstyle for many players. And that dungeon bonus can help, because with dungeon bonus, you increase the chances of something dropping. It doesn't increase the rarity or potency of the drop, it increases the chance of a drop actually occurring, which means you are able to basically play on lower difficulties and have a higher chance of acquiring drops. Again, how valuable this is will definitely depend on your individual monster box and needs, but having a leader who can farm these fast and efficiently while giving you bonus chances of drops, which can stack with many other, because these awakenings do stack, can definitely be meaningful. With that being said, you can still definitely use it through content such as Arena, but it's just going to be less ideal because the dungeon bonus goes to waste. You've got this long cooldown that's difficult to play around with, potentially it's just a full board swipe, doesn't do much else. You don't have VDP on your leaders, and it's just, you have to stay above 50% health. There's a lot of things you have to do in order to truly succeed. On the other hand, her weapon assist is basically made for herself because she comes with basically just rows, and there's no skill bind resist, which is obviously problematic. So when you gain the skill bind resist through the weapon assist, it helps correct some of those problems. You also get fire rows, and you get more dungeon bonus. Basically, you're doing what you want, like that she does well, better. Again, not every player can truly take advantage of it. And it's the same active skill, which is definitely meaningful because a lot of teams will want to have that full board, and the haste can help cycle up other active skills. You swipe, deal big damage. At the same time, if those types of farming content is not necessarily as applicable or relevant for yourself, it's going to be a lesser weapon assist because in really, you're only providing 2 fire rows. And 2 fire rows is not that much. You probably don't need the skill bind resist, you don't need the dungeon bonus, so it's just going to be an expensive weapon assist that doesn't provide as much. For example, off the top of my head, I thought of Rathalos' weapon assist, which gives 4 orb enhances and team HP, and it's much easier to acquire. And those will provide much more damage by comparison to 2 rows, so again, all depends on the type of content you're playing. She is a strong card, but she does have a lot of restrictions and limitations that you need to be aware of. Next are the 8-star cards, and Christmas Ilmina is just as fluffy and cute as ever, but unfortunately she's sitting in this awkward place of, I do a bit of defensive utility and offensive prowess, but I don't succeed at either one metric. And it's that middle ground that really makes cards less appealing and overall, because at this point in time we're really trying to min-max hard in order to overcome difficult dungeons, and Ilmina is unfortunately not doing that. Her defensive utility is the fact that she brings 3 team health, and that is a sizable amount of health bonus combined with the fact that she does have high weighted stats. So she can provide a massive amount of bulk to your team. So if you're struggling to hit certain preemptive thresholds, Christmas Ilmina definitely can be a viable solution. In terms of her offensive prowess, she has VDP, 7 combo, and then her Super Awakenings are all strong, but you kind of need all of them at the same time. And that's problematic because you don't become bind immune unless you take it, which means you have to use a weapon assist to cover that, which could be problematic. If you get bound, you lose your team health because it's tied to an Awakening, which again could be destructive. At the same time, if you don't get that extra 7 combo or VDP, your damage output's not that high. And that's what I mean by she's kind of walking, or she's sitting in that awkward spot of, I have utility, I have offense, but not enough of either to truly succeed. By comparison, like I'm using obviously some strong examples, Bradamante is one of the better damage options available because all of her awakenings are basically focusing on damage, and she does it incredibly well. Conversely, Diao Chan is focusing on utility. She has no damage, but she has wonderful amounts of utility. And between the two of them, they're covering lots of different things at the same time. And when you are team building, you really are trying to min-max. So Ilmina could be used, but she may not be providing as much as you really want, and that is definitely a drawback. Furthermore, in terms of ranking prowess, she has that powerful active skill of 100,000 true damage in the Tri-Elemental board, but original heroine Ilmina gives 200,000 more true damage, so 300, not 100, along with a Bei, not tricolor board, gives you multiple 4 skill boosts total. It's just Christmas Ilmina is just doing a bit of everything, but not exceeding in any one particular metric. And that can almost be said about Christmas Yogg as well, but it's more so Yogg templates themselves have declined in popularity. So Christmas Yogg is basically Beach Yogg with a different color, and it has the similar types of benefits. You can get 777 combo with the follow-up attack. You could have double VDP. You have that same powerful active skill, and you still have that powerful leader skill, which gives you high amounts of damage of only 2 fire combos. But At this point in time, 2 fire combos is the same as a row, and a row can be swiped. It can contribute towards VDP formation. So to make a VDP of Christmas Yogg, you need 9 plus 3, less ideal. You can't swipe a full board because that's not 2 fire combos, and you have to be above 80% health. A couple of years ago, this was a great leader skill. Very few things could keep up with how fast and efficient they were at that point in time. Nowadays, we have so many stronger options, so Yoggs themselves have declined, which means Christmas Yogg has also declined. Like, Yogg for a while was one of the more popular Godfest exclusives, and Gung Ho realized that and just kept printing out more Yoggs in different colors. It's kind of like how Zila originally got a new color, and I thought it'd be all Zilas moving forward, but they actually mixed it up with different Great Witches, which I guess is nice. But either way, main reason why Yogg has declined is that leader skill is less practical, and the active skill, while strong, is less needed. The need for heart orbs has lowered because of auto follow-up attack damage, because we don't need those hearts to counteract resolve spawns, and cards with the similar types of bicolor boards like Zila can basically perform a sub role better. She gets 777 combo, follow-up attack, and VDP with Super Awakenings. She's 1 more damage awakening higher than Christmas Yogg, and her active skill gives you bonus combo count, which means you hit your 7 combos when you make Super follow-up attack and VDP. It's just a matter of Zila's template is just stronger than the Yogg template at this point in time. Next is Christmas Romia, who received a new evolution, which is exciting because it has made her significantly stronger. Her leader skill is still unfortunately awkward. You need to match 3 specific colors to get that 75% damage reduction shield. You have high amounts of attack, but you have a very conditional defensive multiplier, which means you're going to be vulnerable many times. You're also restricted in terms of the types of actives you can bring. It's also going to be harder to VDP because you need 2 colors, your 3x3 box, and usually a follow-up attack because everything has void and resolve at this point in time. So it's just a lot of hurdles to overcome that is just not quite as practical. Thankfully, her sub-potential is quite strong. So her active skill is a 4 elemental board changer that includes hearts. For the most part, these types of board changers are not that ideal, but you also get increased wood skyfalls by 4 turns by 15% for 4 turns. That is a very high amount of skyfall bonus. 99 turn skyfall buffs are usually 7%, so 15% is a significant increase. And this is only on an 8-turn cooldown, so you can kind of think of it this way. You use this board changer a bit before the boss. There's a difficult spawn beforehand, but it doesn't need a VDP, and you don't have to worry because this board probably won't give you a VDP. You might get enough hearts to follow attack, and you'll be happy, but at the same time, you'll have all these wood orbs just raining down for the next 4 turns, and that definitely can make it easier moving into the future floors. You might end up saving an active seal against certain spawns because you just happen to have so many wood orbs present. So because of that, this active is quite powerful. Furthermore, her awakenings give you 2 super skill boosts, which is the equivalent to 4 skill boosts. She has follow-up attack, double 7 combo, and can get either VDP or 777 with her super awakenings. It is a bit of a drawback because you can't have 777 and VDP at the same time, which is kind of a good kind of benchmark, so to speak, for a damage-oriented sub, but she is still providing a meaningful amount of damage. Double 7 with VDP is still quite strong. The follow-up attack can be relevant, but again, that active skill is strong. So she's doing quite a few things, and she is also cute. Overall, one of the stronger 8-star cards in this event. Speaking of 8-star cards, Christmas Callie is unfortunately the weakest. I mentioned how Yogg was one of the more popular Godfest exclusives beforehand, and he got recolored many times. Callie was the original one. She got recolored into many different forms because of the popularity of rainbow leaders back in the day when follow-up attack and VDP didn't exist. They were quite strong, and Raw Dragon definitely helped popularize that. So Callies appear in different forms and colors because Gunmo thought, hey, people love Callie, let's make her in different colors. Unfortunately, the whole Callie template has really declined. Dark Callie, the 6-star Godfest exclusive, has some niche uses because she has 777 combo and can get 4 skill boosts. Christmas Callie does nothing. Like, you can have 2 7 combos. Or you could have 1 7 combo in a cloud. Okay, that doesn't do much. Your active skill is just a generic all 6 elemental board changer. No extra effect. You have reasonable weighted stats. Your leader skill does have reasonable multipliers, but you have to remember, you only can use dragon and god types. You are rainbow, which means you must have a solution to voids, and that tends to come from very rare and luxurious collab cards or high rarity Godfest exclusives. It's just hard to find those types of active skills. You can have difficulty using follow-up attack. You can have difficulty just with board changes in general because you have a tough time concentrating your damage. There's a lot of hurdles rainbow teams have to overcome, and Christmas Callie is not addressing any of those. And for all these reasons, she really would only just act mostly as a transitional leader for very new accounts, or potentially trade fodder in the future. Again, don't trade things away unless you really need to. But the point of the matter is, Christmas Callie is not doing very much. Next is Christmas Gremory, who went from being quite bad to actually much more relevant because compared to last year, the meta has dramatically changed. Firstly, these fire rows are now relevant because of Rao teams. The VDP is useful. She can gain tape resist through her Super Awakening, so she's bringing quite a few nice things to the table. You have damage and a tape resist, which is kind of hard to find sometimes. Furthermore, her active skill actually has been improved. It gives you 3 heart orbs and 3 fire orbs, and then reduce unable to match orb effects by 5 turns with a 5-turn buy and clear. But it's that reducing unable to match orb effects being the real juicy aspect of this active skill. Because while it is still a relatively niche mechanic, it can be problematic when you do encounter these spawns, and having a fast charging active skill, it's only 6 turns, erase those while providing useful secondary effects, or primary effects, so to speak, is beneficial. And this definitely has applications, and it can be utilized as a sub for Rao teams. Because Rao teams love to match that row of fire orbs, so Gremory does contribute. That active skill does have nice synergy. You make a row of fire, use Gremory, you now have 9, there's your VDP. And with all that haste cycling around, in theory, her active skill does charge up quite a bit faster. In that same breath, she doesn't contribute to his system. Now, you don't have to play him like a system, but a system-based team tends to be the most efficient. And that means you have 4 active skills with a 7-turn cooldown with 1 turn of haste, and you use one of those every single turn. That means you'll have usually a Kuro Yuri as one of the other cards, and then your final card will have a Fujin style active skill. And you kind of, through that and through weapon assist, counter basically all the mechanics available in the dungeon. So in theory, Christmas Gremory can still be used. She can carry your Fujin active skill, which will be fine because she is a nice base, and then once that Fujin active skill is used, you have a powerful active skill that can basically make your board better after using another fire orb changer. So I feel like she definitely can be utilized, but again, just remember she doesn't contribute to the system, which can be a little bit of a drawback. But either way, I feel like she has become significantly stronger, and if you do on Rao teams, it would be beneficial to have her in your monster box. Is it worth exchanging for? No, but it's just nice if it actually does occur. Now we transition into the 7-star cards in this event. So the first one is the brand new Uriel, and at first glance, they look like Christmas Saline. You have 7 fire rows. So you lose the dungeon bonus from the regular Awakenings, but you have more raw damage. How good is that? It really depends on the type of content you're playing through. Amusingly enough, they have a very similar active skill. They still have the same 2.25 times health and RCD multipliers, and 324 times attack with a single fire row, or 6 connected fire. With those rows, huge amounts of damage. So Christmas Uriel also has an active skill that is on a 4-turn cooldown, which will make a row of fire and produce no skyfalls. So, in theory, you can make Christmas Uriel systems. 4 Christmas Uriels is a system. Unfortunately, they don't play nice with other systems because there's no haste. It won't help those other ones charge up their actives, and you really need the 4 of Uriels, which is not practical to say the least, but there will be people who have done this. They're either exceptionally lucky or whatnot, and they will have somehow found enough Christmas Uriels. So you can use them as a leader. Dual leaders gives you actually +2 combo count when matching that fire row. You have comically high amounts of damage, and you have 2 other sub-slots which can be filled. Conversely, you can use Christmas Uriel with Christmas Saline to have the auto follow-up attack damage, or even Rao. You take your pick. The point of the matter is you could pair, but he tends to be a dominating solo farming leader because you can utilize the dungeon bonus Super Awakening, and again, you're using a bunch of Uriels anyways. You can pair with Christmas Saline for more drop rates, and you can actually swipe through lots of content quite easily. At the same time, all they really do is damage, damage, damage. They have no utility for the most part. They do have 2 skill boosts, but they have no skill bind resist. Unique duplicates themselves for the system, which is not practical. You have no diversity. And they are an orb skin character. And while the orb skin is pretty, it's going to be even harder to roll, that means, which is definitely problematic. Another thing you have to keep in mind is you actually have to be above 50% HP like Saline. So large preemptives, if you're not prepared for them, can be problematic. And it's definitely more geared and oriented to solo farming for the most part, but at the same time, you can still utilize a single Uriel as a sub on Rao or even Dark Omega teams. On Rao teams, it's a giant damage stick but again, doesn't offer much utility, which means you probably want to pass over something. If I had Christmas Gremory and Uriel, I would use Gremory over Uriel for Rao teams. On the other hand, Dark Omega teams tend to love farming content as fast as possible, and a single Uriel provides you with a gazillion amount of passive damage. That fast charging active skill for that easy row can definitely be meaningful, and as promised, here is this beautiful orb skin. Gabriel was my first rare machine card, Sakuya is my second one, not counting golems and sticker girls, and it just jumps out at me. I like this orb skin. Again, personal preference. Next is Christmas Liu Bei, and it's just a colossal disaster. You can double orb change, but you would never want to use them as a sub because those awakenings have no synergy anywhere. That leader skill is several years old. You don't do much, in all honesty. I don't really foresee a usage for Christmas Liu Bei. Really? It's just, you're not providing much of anything. If anything, you can call him Liu Bait, because when you see that diamond egg, you get excited, and it's him. Next is Christmas Sakuya. So as mentioned already, Sakuya was my second rare machine card, and I have a lot of fond memories attached to her. She helped me clear lots of content when I first started playing the game, and it's kind of sad to see that she really has fallen from grace, so to speak. So this Sakuya's active skill is the 20% gravity. That does nothing nowadays. Leader skill, no, we're not going to look at that. So it's basically, she can act as a very temporary transitional sub for newer accounts because you have one jammer, one blind, and a tape resist. It's a bit of resistance. Again, at the same time, this active skill is pointless. The other awakenings don't really do much. She's just really not contributing much, and it's really just at least a temporary transitional sub. Still more value than Liu Bait, but little value overall. Next is Christmas Grida, and initially, when she was debuted, that dungeon bonus was kind of spicy, but then we kind of realized dungeon bonus isn't that great. It needs a lot of them to truly function. And her active skill is changing the enemy's attribute to light and then hazards to dark. So that change enemies' color to light, she's the only one that actually can do this, so that is a niche in itself. It's not a very useful niche, but it's something no one else can do, and it would be often used for cheesing purposes. But at the same time, cheesing teams have, I feel, decreased in popularity because Gung Ho has introduced lots of mechanics to kind of negate cheesing, and Kiri is just an all-in-one package, which many players have rolled already because she is that leader skill you want. She does have the color change as well, and to be fair, again, cheesing is not used that often, but hey, it's something that's different. And in theory, dark-based teams do get bonus damage from this because they will gain their 2x effective elemental. Next is Christmas Fagan, and unlike Fagan Rai, who is amazing, this is terrible. You don't do much of anything. You have skill charge. You have a terrible active skill of a 20-turn cooldown. That 20% gravity means nothing, and having a board of fire, water, wood, light, and hearts, again, that's not necessary. You don't fulfill any real purpose. You have a long cooldown. You have some time extend. You have low damage output. You have no real utility. It's just a card that doesn't do anything at this point in time, and again, that's unfortunate because that's a 7-star card, which should be strong. Again, this is kind of the templates for seasonal events. Next is Christmas Solais, and she actually has still remained relevant because double co-op boost with actually quite high base attack means that she definitely can be utilized for button farming. So the concept of button farming is to utilize a card with high attack and then give them inherit an active skill on top of them that provides damage based on the base card's attack. So with co-op boost, she gains 2.25 times stats, which means her attack is significantly higher, which means that button can deal more damage. At the time of her release, it was much more impressive because fewer options existed while also having a higher attack stat. There are cards with more attack as well as double co-op boost, but again, she does have a little advantage because it's only a 7-turn cooldown, so it could provide some skill boost flexibility for inheriting certain actives, but again, it's only really applicable for people who do take part in co-op button farming, so the amount of value she does bring to your box will greatly hinge on that factor. Next is Christmas Haku, and yeah, it's just sad. You have lots of orb enhance, which is, I guess, nice, but you do nothing else. You have terribly low weighted stats. You have an active skill that makes fire, water, and dark board. Again, nothing special that we really want, and it really doesn't accomplish anything. If you needed orb enhance sticks, you could use Eshamalis, but even then, using Eshamalis are not necessarily super popular. I've used Beach Eshamali once for Chidori Altarina 3, which did work, but it wasn't quite needed. But Beachhead Shimali did have much better weighted stats and a much stronger active skill, and even then, I think I took her out anyways. Either way, not a card we really care for. Kind of a trend I say quite often here. Next is Christmas Genie. So Christmas Genie's active skill reduces all dark damage taken by 100% for 3 turns. So there was a Rare Machine renewal a long time ago which took out the Rare Machine Genie, which is the other active skill. Basically, it's the same active skill. So in theory, it is possible many players don't have this active skill somewhere in their monster box. And while this is incredibly niche and specific, it is at least something you can't really replicate elsewhere. Maybe there's a time where you need to not take damage for 3 turns, or maybe you're playing an HP sensitive leader like Zeus first, and with Christmas Genie's active skill, you can stop that large preemptive. Not much to say about the card, very specific overall. Next is Christmas Hatsume, who actually was improved, and I'm surprised. Very few cards actually got improved. And that's because they gain 2 attacker killers, and they can use attacker killer latents. So, again, they have a 5-turn cooldown, which is useful, and they have 2 skill boosts. So in things like ranking dungeons, this definitely could have some applications if their attacker spawns available. At the same time, there are quite a few different cards who have 2 attacker killers and can use attacker killer latents. I did a quick search on Ilmina.com. I found 15 different cards. Maybe it's a little higher, I don't know. But the point is, there are a lot of different options. So if you don't have any of these cards, Christmas Hatsume is more valuable. If you have lots of these other cards, probably not as relevant because they do have low attack. Next is Christmas Freyja, and she is kind of like Hatsume, except better because she has double balance and she can use balance killer latents, but she has attack well above 80%, which does give her significantly more damage output. It's 1.5 times higher multiplier against balance types. Unfortunately, Melissa Mao does technically exist, who can get a 3rd and latents and is part of a strong event, which many people have rolled. So Melissa Mao technically does do more damage overall, but Christmas Freyja is in a different color. Maybe not everyone has Melissa Mao, so she does have a little bit more value, and it is quite high amounts of personal damage, but again, you're only effective against balance types. Next is Christmas Castor and Pollox, and they spawn a column of dark and a column of light. Before, that used to have more relevance when Yomi Dragon was a really cool card. I haven't said that name in a long time, so Christmas Pollox kind of has definitely languished overall. With that being said, she does provide 2 columns, and for leaders that do activate from, say, a match 5, this can be meaningful because for farming, you can make 2 columns, solve 1, and then have another column ready for the next floor. 2 floors of 1 active can be helpful, but again, incredibly niche card overall. And then lastly, we come to Christmas Venus. And Christmas Venus, I feel it could have been stronger, but her weighted stats are just really holding her back. And there are so many strong utility-based light cards available. So bringing 5 enhanced light orbs does provide large amounts of passive damage to your entire team. She also can gain Cloud Resist via Super Awakening. And she has a 3-turn active skill cooldown, so it's easy to inherit something over top of it. Unfortunately, the base active itself, it's alright. Like, you do get time bonus and orb enhance, which can be useful after other orb changes are used. But she is competing basically with Fenrir Viz and Diao Chan, who have much higher weighted stats, who have stronger base active skills, and they bring more defensive utility to the team. Or in the case of Fenrir Viz, it's that active skill that basically saves an entire inherit overall, while being a 1-turn cooldown. The point of the matter is, Christmas Venus, I feel like if she had stronger weighted stats, and maybe that was a super bind immunity plus something else, she could have been a stronger card, but she is competing against very powerful options, and really, when we are building teams for endgame content, we are trying to min-max as much as possible. So, do I plan on rolling? Well, if you've been listening to this review, it's a resounding no. There are so many weak cards in this event, even at the higher rarities, that it's very unlikely I'm actually going to get something that I truly want. With that being said, it's always fun to kind of fantasize about what could potentially be rolled with amazing luck. So, Christmas Saline is by default my choice for 9-star. She's the only one. She is strong. For the 8 stars, I was closer. I want either Gremory or Romia, and I decided to land with Gremory because I feel like that she has a bit more relevance moving forward because of that unable to match orb effect, which is incredibly powerful because oftentimes you may find yourself needing to have that active skill, and I feel like it's going to be a mechanic Gung-Ho introduces more in the future, so I feel like I'm kind of future-proofing myself for that. I do have Altura, but Christmas Gremory is a stronger option overall for most teams. And again, Rose are kind of the theme right now. For 7 stars, Uriel, again, is kind of a default winner. The other 7 stars are pretty lackluster, and the same can be said for 6 star with Solais. I do have other double co-op boost cards, but hey, I'll take another one. Like, there's nothing else better at that same rarity. I have many Genies anyways, so I don't need Christmas Genie. And then finally, Christmas Freyja is the strongest of the 5 stars as well, and I do have Melissa Mal, but it's a different color. I won't have any use for Hatsume. I have many of the other options available, and their attack stat is low. So, in conclusion, the Christmas Reg Machine is a top-heavy event, and it has quite a bit of lackluster cards scattered throughout all rarities, which makes it much harder to justify rolling in, at least from a value point of view. On the other hand, if you enjoy festively dressed characters and you just like the artwork, this could be an event you possibly want to roll in. So for this event, my advice is do your free roll, stop. If you like the costumes and the artwork, maybe roll a bit more, but in terms of value, this event is quite low. Regardless of that, let me know what you think about this event in the comments below and whether or not you plan on rolling, as well as what are be your dream cards. Hopefully you'll have a fantastic day. I wish you all the best of luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.